Hello, good evening, good morning, everybody. Nice to see you today. I am going live with Dr. Thais Varzoni today, and she is a mental health counsellor who is speaking on behalf of Brown Fertility, and we are leaning on her for her expertise to answer your questions about how to cope, strategies for coping during what could be an incredibly hard time during the festive season, and obviously in America with Thanksgiving coming up, and then of course Christmas. All of these tips are really useful. So I'm going to welcome Thais now, and we can get started. So joining, nice to see you today. Please have your questions at the ready. We've got some great things to talk about. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, how are you?
We're doing good. So glad to be here.
It's lovely to have you on here. I've just given you a brief introduction, but please do tell people joining a little bit more about you, and then we can talk about tips for navigating what can be a very difficult time during the holiday season.
Yes, like you were saying, I am a mental health counselor and I do work only with fertility, and I've been working with fertility for the past 7 years. So I have a lot of experience of trying to help our patients how to handle this difficult time. It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year.
Don't you find that Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of these events and occasions can be particularly tough when you're trying to conceive, because you see other people with children or pregnant, and it can be almost a reminder of that special family time that you so much want?
Yes, it is extremely hard during those times of the year. All of those holidays, they are very children focused. You know, if you look everywhere you go, there is Santa Claus with kids, and there is all this dinner events, and then you have to be around your family. And there is always someone that's going to ask you a question or remind you that you don't have your kids already. So yes, it can be extremely difficult.
We see quite a lot of people in the community, and please, if you're watching, do feel free to sort of mention anything that you find particularly tough at this time, kind of comments that are meant from family and friends in a nice way, but may have come out the wrong way. We hear, well, I've heard lots of things over the years from the community about kind of, and I've been there myself, in terms of not just asking questions about whether you're trying to conceive and what's happening in IVF and things like that, but also kind of comments around, why are you leaving it till now? Or like, I don't know, just not understanding that sensitivity, or maybe showing a photo of someone else who's just had a child, or say a parent saying how much they can't wait to be a grandparent, which just piles on more pressure. What are you hearing from people that you've helped around this time?
I think one of the hardest things that I hear every day is that a lot of people think it is a good idea to announce their pregnancy on those family events. So you go to your grandparents' house, and then your cousin's going to tell everyone that she's pregnant with the third child. And that can be extremely difficult. All the Christmas cards that start arriving at your home with families with children. So this is another reminder, like, you are not there yet. And these are some of the things. And also all the festivities, just all of us have hopes. And maybe you started your journey in the beginning of the year, or maybe a few years ago, and you were hoping that this would be the year that you would have a little one with you. So that can be extremely hard as well.
Because it's almost a reminder, isn't it, that of thinking, kind of going into a new year, if this was to happen like now, this would be when the due date was
Exactly.
to be. Or for people who are struggling with baby loss, for example, and their due date might be around now, I guess it's an equally triggering time to be reminded of what's happening to other people that you should be experiencing yourself.
Exactly. I think when, unfortunately, we know miscarriages happen a lot when we're trying to get pregnant. And when that happens, we will always be reminded, like, I would be I would be like 24 weeks today, or I would be holding a baby during this Christmas. So, of course, it's a reminder. But I think what it would be important to focus is on ourselves too. We can't change that. But what we can change is how we celebrate. It's how we embrace this new season and be supportive of each other.
Mm-hmm. What would be your top tips for people who are going into Thanksgiving, December around the corner, Christmas? How can people manage families, expectations, friends, all of the above?
I think the first thing, give yourself permission to say no. If you do not want to attend an event, do not go. We're adults. And if it's going to be triggering to you, if you know it's not going to be good to your mental health, don't go. I know it's just a season in your life. This is not going to be forever. So if you cannot attend this party this year, it's okay. First of all, my first tip is allow yourself to say no if you don't want to go.
And
Second,
with that tip, which is a great point,
yes.
some people feel, and I often feel like this, and I don't know why.
Mm.
I know my husband doesn't do this, but if you decline an event, that you have to give a reason why.
No.
Do you think? What are your thoughts around that? Why do people expect to sort of need to have a reason why you're saying no?
If your family knows, because not everybody's tell everyone about what they're going through. If your family know, it's okay to let them know. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with being around you. But to me, right now, it is difficult to be around all the festivities that's going on. I think if your family knows, it's okay to let them know. And remind ourselves that it's okay to have two feelings happen at the same time. You can miss your family. You can want to be around your grandparents. You want to taste your aunt's food. You want all of that. But at the same time, you're upset.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you don't feel like going to those parties. And one thing can happen at the same time. We call those dialectical feelings. When opposite feelings are happening at the same time, you can let them know, I love you. I would love to spend time with you, but right now, I'm not in a position to do that. And I think that means to be kind to yourself. I think it is a special time that you have to take care of yourself. Your mental health matters. You want to feel empowered to do what's the best decision to you and your partner.
Absolutely. And what would be your second tip?
I think one of them is just self-care. This time it is extremely anxiety provoking, especially for trying to get pregnant. I would schedule something that I'm looking forward to. If you want to, get a manicure, or if you want to just go to see a movie, schedule something that is important to you. I think that's one of my tips. Second tip, uh, you have to plan. If you think you have to attend a occasion like a party that you cannot say no, plan ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I think be mindful. Remember the things that it didn't work last year or the last time you were around. Talk if you are going to with your partner, make sure you're both on the same page. Talk about how long you want to spend at your grandma's house. And after that, if you go there and it start getting too much, have even a safe word. Tell him like, we gotta go, the dog needs us, or whatever it is, and leave the place if it gets too much. And the most important part, reward yourself for going. So schedule an evening, just the two of you, go to the beach you're really close by, go see a movie, reward yourself for going there. So number one is plan. If the occasion is inevitable, if you have to go, make sure you're ready. Make sure also you plan how much you want to share with your
Mm-hmm.
family. You guys have to be on the same page. If somebody asks a question, are you willing to let them know that you guys are trying to have a baby? Or that are you willing to let them know that you just did a transfer that it didn't work, that it's painful to talk about? So make sure you two are on the same page about how much you want to share, because when you get to those places, people sometimes bombard us with questions. So it's very important to be prepared with your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I think it's very important is just uh, it's okay to change the way we celebrate. That's my other tip. If you used to do something, it's okay if you want to celebrate a little different. You know, if you don't want to be around your cousin that is pregnant with her third child, you can maybe ask another one to go out with you for lunch or a brunch or something like this. So change how you celebrate. It's okay to take vacation, just you and your partner. It's okay to celebrate maybe a New Year's, because this is not really child focused. Maybe you can grab your adult friends and have a very nice party. That would definitely be another tip that I would give.
And going back to kind of people sort of noticing what you're doing or not doing, I think one of the things that also comes up is people making assumptions. So, for example, if you're not drinking, people assuming that that might be because you've got some exciting news to share, and actually not realizing, if they don't know, what you might be going through, and then feeling that you need to explain that, and assumptions being made about the way that you're acting, or what you're avoiding in terms of food or alcohol, whatever that might be.
We can control what other people are going to ask us. We can control what people think about us. But if you are comfortable sharing, you can share, or you can always tell them that you're taking another prescription medication and you cannot mix that with alcohol. You can always make sure you are giving the answer that you're comfortable with. And don't feel obligated to have to share. That's your personal story. That is your life. I think it's okay to be kind to yourself. So if you don't feel like this is something you want to talk about, just don't, give another excuse.
I remember going to a birthday party after we'd had a failed cycle of IVF, and I was in floods of tears in the bathroom and had to leave. And I felt okay doing that, but I didn't then go and say goodbye to people. I just had to get up and go. And I don't know, who noticed, and I didn't think it was a problem, but it's in that here and now moment. I thought I would be okay going to that party, and I wasn't. So I just had to do what was right for me and go back to a place where I felt comfortable.
And I think you did the right thing. Like, you did what was right to you. And this is a time in your life. And I hope this is going to be, it's going to end soon. So I hope that everybody's going to get the miracle that they're hoping for. So during the season, it's okay to make decision that it feels the right thing to you and your family. So this is why I always tell my ladies when I'm talking to them, have a plan B. And after you go into any situation that you know you're going to be triggered, it's so important to reward yourself. Something to look forward to. So even if you left a party because you're crying, you will have a movie that you already chose that you're going to sit down at home and you're going to eat your ice cream and you're going to watch that movie, and just not be too hard on yourself. This is it's extremely hard. It is difficult. Most people that are going through infertility understand and feel what you're feeling. You're not alone. So this is why it's so important to be kind to yourself. And if you have to leave a party because you're crying, I'm just sorry that happened, but it's okay too. You don't have to be stronger than you are. You just have to be yourself.
Absolutely, that's really good advice. I think the other thing is, if people, as I know many people in the community are, and please, if you're watching, please let us know your thoughts around triggering comments, or how you're managing this period, and which tips you find helpful for this, for all of this with the holidays approaching. But if you are on a kind of strict regime and you're taking things out of your diet, and you're exercising and doing all sorts of things to kind of prepare for a cycle, or try and increase your chances, what would you say to people who are kind of stripping back everything in terms of having some enjoyment over that time?
I think it is important to be intentional about having some fun too. I think prioritizing your joy is extremely important. This is how we make memories. And even the part of you trying to have a baby is part of your baby's life story. So it is okay to celebrate this too. So even if you decided not to eat everything, or you've decided to be follow a kind of diet, it's okay, but just prioritize being some joy, celebrate a little bit, have some fun. I think it's extreme. That's going to be helpful to you, to people around you, and also to make those memories that you will sure enjoy later.
Good advice. Also interesting to hear your thoughts on people who are supporting those who are going through a fertility struggle. What would be your tips for family and friends who know somebody is going through this?
Meet them where they are. You know, they don't want to talk about it, don't bring it up. You know, if they want to talk about it, be a good listener. Don't keep giving them, don't keep telling them what to do. Allow them to have their feelings and just be supportive. Sometimes all we need is somebody to be there for us,
Mm-hmm.
not to tell us what to do, not to tell us how to feel. Just be there. So if you can, be there for your friend, for your spouse, for whoever needs to hear this. Just be present. You know, maybe you can try to distract them, call, you know, ask them out to do something, just the two of you, something that is not children related. You know, try to be supportive. I think that's the number one thing. Don't force them to talk if they don't feel like talking, and just be there for them.
I think also to add to that, and we hear this a lot in the community, and I know this from firsthand experience,
Mm-hmm.
being left out of events and not invited to things because people are worried that you're going to be upset by going,
Mm-hmm.
um, can also be triggering in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, feeling that you're the last to hear about a pregnancy announcement, or you weren't invited to those drinks because people thought that it might be feel uncomfortable for you. I would just say give that person the option so that they can decide.
Mm-hmm. I think that's perfect. I think letting them know that, you know, we're having this party, you are welcome to show up, but also understand if they don't want to come, that they feel like they don't want to be part of it. But of course, invite them. Let them know that they're loved, because people are so much more than their
Mm-hmm.
ability have a child. So this is not earth, you guys. You know, you are an amazing person, and I know people want to be around you. So allow them to make that decision on their own.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Any other tips for navigating the holidays
I
whilst
think
you're struggling to conceive?
if I can give an advice, is just
Mm.
allow yourself to be happy too, because we experience so much no's throughout our fertility journey. You know, no, this didn't work. No, this is, no, we're going to try something else, that we get so guarded. And especially if we have experienced pain through miscarriages and failed cycles, is that we we are scared to be happy. You know, we are kind of guarded with our feelings. So my advice is allow yourself to be happy, allow yourself to celebrate too, and this holidays, allow yourself to, it's okay to juggle grief with love and excitement. You know, you are allowed to have two feelings at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. So if you can, allow yourself to be happy during this holiday season.
I think you've touched on a really, really good point that people shouldn't beat themselves up and feel guilty for feeling certain ways because it's so normal, isn't it?
Yes, and I mean, you can still feel the pain, you can still feel hurt, and still allow yourself to laugh and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So, my advice would be allow yourself to be excited and happy. And
So tell us how you work with Brown Fertility and how important kind of holistic care and counselling can be during the fertility journey, and how Brown support people in their journey in that respect.
yes, thank you for asking. I mean, there's many ways we help people here. You know, we do psychological evaluations if they're using donor eggs, if they're using, you know, sperm, donor sperm or embryo donation, but we also offer them therapy. And the way Dr. Brown does that, he actually pays for the first one because he really believes that people need, you know, if it's going to
Yeah,
they're here, then we want to walk with them.
yeah.
And one thing we do is that we meet them where they are. So if they come here and they need to process what the next step will be, we'll meet with them. If they need to just to grieve the idea of, they thought that they were going to have sex and get a baby, and now they have all this things that they are having to do, we grieve with them. You know, we talk to them if they are going through miscarriage or failed cycles. We call them, we talk to them, we try to support them. I think the biggest thing we've been doing here is just walking with our patients and making sure they feel supported. I personally did research on infertility. You know, when I was doing my PhD, I did on infertility and distress. And what we noticed that the number one reason people feel distressed during their fertility journey is because they don't feel supported. So our goal is always to support them and make sure they alone.
I love that advice. I love that advice. It's hand holding, isn't it? And sometimes, I mean, I personally felt that speaking to a counsellor during my treatment was easier than sometimes speaking to a friend, even my husband going through the same thing, or someone that knew me, and somehow you could almost get more off your chest when you're speaking to someone who's not you, who you're not trying to have a baby with, and who's not in your immediate life.
Yes, I think when you're speaking to your spouse, they're going through the same thing. So they are hurt as well, and you guys are trying to protect each other. So even though we're being open, there's a part of you that is protecting each other. So it is helpful, but also it's sometimes it's not enough. Talk to a friend that haven't experienced what you have gone through. Talking to somebody that haven't had a miscarriage or doesn't know what it means to want a baby and not having one, they might not understand what you're going through. So I think talking to a professional is extremely can be extremely beneficial.
And at what stage of the journey would you suggest that someone, so for example, at Brown Fertility, what stage of the journey would your support come into play?
Honestly, really depends.
Okay.
There are people that contact us right away. They know they would need the support, or they are so shocked that they would need the support that they want to talk to somebody right away. But it's very common for people to start looking to talk to us during the 2-week wait. When many of them are peaking and they just need somebody to help them with coping skills to deal with that. So it's very common. And I also have patients that have their first baby and they're about to try this again. And they call me before they call Dr. Brown. They're like, I want to make sure you're available before I do
Oh, I
my
love that.
reevaluation. They're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm here. We're going to walk with you again. We were going to make sure you got your baby too.
Oh.
So it really depends. I think that's the beauty of it. It's because you can be here as much or as little as you want. Some people just need somebody to process their decision. Others need somebody to walk with them. Others will need aftercare, you know, because having a baby is very difficult too. And all they did for the past 3 or 4 years was trying to have a baby. And now that they have a baby, they don't know how to deal with that. So we're here for our patients and we want to make sure they feel supported throughout this process.
And if anyone would like some further information on getting in touch with the team, the support that Brown Fertility and Dr. Thais offers, then please head to our link in bio to find out more. It was such an important part of my journey, the holistic care, and I'm so glad that you guys offer it. And I know that lots of people are looking for it. Do you see that during these kinds of times over the holiday season that people need more support?
Of course, I think there is a need for more support because we end up feeling a little bit more alone. We feel
Yeah.
like
And a
all of
bit
the
more vulnerable.
yes, there's reminders everywhere you look. Every single movie on TV, every commercial, everything we look, they are families being shown to us. And of course, it reminds us of something that we don't have right now. Also, there is this feeling of end of the year. We all have goals that we set up for ourselves in the beginning. That's it. Okay, by the end of the year, I want to. And sometimes in a lot of people's wish list, there is a baby in there. And when you look that this year, that's not going to happen, that can be extremely hurtful. So I think there's another reason why we see an increase of people looking for help during this time.
Yeah.
And it's natural, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, fantastic. So please do lean on the team. Head to our link in bio, find out more about Brown Fertility, the support that they offer, Dr. Thais. and how she can support people. I know through Mind 360, Dr. Thais Varzoni,
Yeah.
and you know, having someone who has this expertise, as you said, you've got years of expertise, is instrumental in guiding you, and knowing that you're speaking to the best. Any kind of thoughts in terms of apps or tasks or things that people can do over this period to kind of focus energy?
Sure. I think first of all, I think you know what works for you. So remember, what are some of the things that when you do, you feel joy? I think it's important to bring that. If it is walk, some walks on the beach, go do that. If it is get your nails done, go do that. If you just talk to a friend about anything, even watch trash TV, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta know what works for you. Also, if it is important to keep yourself sane. So always tell people, try to control the things that you can control. So if you know that you need to make some shopping, try to make a list of the things that you have to buy, because if you feel in control of the things that you can control, it is a little bit easier to be okay with the things that we cannot. So that would be my ultimate thing. If you need an organizer, look for an app that will help you organize your Christmas shopping or any kind of holiday shopping. Look for apps that will help you calm yourself. There's so many people that like to do those meditations. And the most important thing is to take care of yourself. I think it's so important. Don't feel at any moment that it's a luxury. Taking care of your mental health is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Really, really good advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Thais, for coming on with us today. And please do head to our link in bio for continued support and to reach out to the supportive team here at Brown Fertility and see how they can hold your hand through what can be, as we know, a very difficult process.
And another thing that if the people that are watching us, if they could give us some advice of things that they have done differently in the holidays, I would love to hear. I always hear people that decided to go for a girls' night out just instead of doing your regular dinner or whatever it is. Let us know how you celebrate different, and that makes it special for you, so we can share with our people here as well, different ways that you can make your holiday special.
I love that. Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for those who have joined us, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. And I don't know if you guys celebrate Thanksgiving, but for the ones that are celebrating this Thursday, happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.